Welcome back. The Women's Reservation Bill, as expected, has become a poll issue ahead of the multiple state elections later this year. And of course, the big one in 2024, that's the Lok Sabha elections. Prime Minister Modi today sounded the poll bugle in Madhya Pradesh, where he credited himself for the passage of the bill. He went on to say that the opposition led by the Congress had no option but to support it in both the Rajya Sabha and the Lok Sabha, and that it was essentially their Majboori to vote in favour of the bill. Listen in to the Prime Minister.
कांग्रेस और उसके गठबंधन गठबंधन ने मजबूरी में इस बिल का समर्थन बहुत खट्टे मन से किया है.
Meanwhile, the Congress continues to question the delay in the implementation of the bill to corner the Modi government. Rahul Gandhi, who is on a campaign trail in Chhattisgarh, vowed to conduct a caste census at the earliest and ensure a quota within the quota for the OBC. He's saying that there would be 33% quota for the OBC women in the Women Reservation Bill if the Congress is voted to power in 2024.
ओबीसी को भागीदारी देनी है, दलितों को, आदिवासियों को, महिलाओं को भागीदारी देनी है, तो कास्ट सेंसस करवाना ही पड़ेगा. और अगर नरेंद्र मोदी जी कास्ट सेंसस नहीं करवाएंगे तो जैसे हमने कहा था यहां पे, जैसे ही हमारी सरकार आएगी पहला कदम कास्ट सेंसस होगा और ओबीसी को जो भागीदारी मिलनी चाहिए वो कांग्रेस पार्टी करके दिखाएगी.
Joining me now is Congress MP and senior legal eagle, Mr. P. Chidambaram. Mr. Chidambaram, good evening and thank you very much for your time here on Mirror Now. So the Prime Minister today has said that the Congress voted for the Women's Reservation Bill in both houses because it was their majboori, their compulsion. How would you respond to that?
I'm amused. It was his compulsion to bring the bill in the 9th year and 5th month of his government. We had no compulsion at all. We had passed a bill on 9th of March 2010 in the Rajya Sabha and we transmitted to the Lok Sabha. We would have passed it in the Lok Sabha if only the opposition and the other parties had cooperated. We did not have a majority on our own, and we therefore had to depend upon the votes of the non-UPA parties. Therefore, there was no compulsion for us. It was our manifesto. We have said this since the days of Rajiv Gandhi. If there was any compulsion on anyone, it was the Prime Minister's compulsion to bring a matter to divert attention from price rise, from unemployment, and from the border disputes with China.
Mr. Chidambaram, the understanding so far, at least after listening to what the government is saying, is that the Women's Reservation Bill in the Lok Sabha and the state legislatives will not kick in 2024, but it could happen during the 2029 elections. But you write in the Indian Express and say reservation when, after, arguing that it will not happen by 2029. Why do you say that, sir?
Please read the bill. Unfortunately, even the ministers who spoke in Parliament have not read the bill carefully. They are reading from briefing notes given by the officers or the officers of the Law Ministry. Please read the bill. Please read Article 82 of the Constitution, 3rd proviso, and please read the clauses of the bill. The first step is the first census after 2026. So the claim that the census will be held immediately after 2024 is plainly wrong. 3rd proviso to Article 82 says first census after 2026. So that is the first after. The census must be taken, the results must be published. Results normally take about 2 years to publish. After that, the second after refers to the delimitation. It requires a new law made by Parliament. The delimitation bill must be introduced and the delimitation act must be passed. Let's assume that that is all passed in a few days. The delimitation process last year took 6 years. It was started in 2002 and ended on 19th February 2008. It took 6 years. Let's assume it takes 4 years today. Therefore, that is the second after. After that only, the reservation can be, reserved constituencies can be identified and the reservation can be brought into force. Therefore, that is why the after. Now you add up all the numbers that I've said, 2 years for census, 6 years for the delimitation, and then the reservation. It will take us at least up to 2032 or 33 or 2034.
You then essentially are accusing the government of creating deliberate hurdles to the bill when all that is needed for it to come into force is an updated voters list that already exists. Why would the government do that? Why would it deliberately create hurdles to a bill that they have managed to pass in both houses of parliament?
Absolutely. The bill that was passed in Parliament in 2010 did not have these census and delimitation preconditions. The bill that Mr. Deva Gowda introduced in 1996 did not have these preconditions. The same bill which Mr. Deva Gowda introduced was attempted twice by Mr. Vajpayee. So what was good for Mr. Deva Gowda's government, what was good for Mr. Vajpayee's government, what was good for Dr. Manmohan Singh's government, why is it not good today? Why did you introduce these two preconditions of a census and a delimitation? It is either out of ignorance or design. Now please read my article carefully. I said it could be either out of ignorance or design. Now my inclination is to believe that it was by design.
So here's the follow-up question. Rahul Gandhi today, Mr. Chidambaram, in Chhattisgarh, has insisted on an OBC quota within the Women's Reservation Bill. But this quota didn't exist when the Congress had brought the bill to the parliament. Why insist upon it now? What has changed?
See, the OBC quota was not prominently pressed in 2010. It was women's reservation. But in the last 13 years, the OBCs have become strident. They are more conscious of their political rights. And in panchayats and municipalities, we have an OBC quota. Therefore, with the changing times, changing demands, and the shift of political power to the OBCs, one has to address that issue also. The government should either say, we accept the demand for quota within a quota for OBCs, or we don't accept that demand. The government is silent. Party in 1996 reflected the demands of that time. Party in 2010 reflected the demands of that time. But 13 years have passed, and a party is obliged to reflect the demands of our time.
Finally, can I ask you, Mr. Chidambaram, because this is how you end your article. You end your article by calling the Women's Reservation Bill a jumla by the Modi government. How is it a jumla, given the fact that the bill had been hanging fire for 30 years and it has finally passed in both houses? It's a historic moment.
We passed it in 2010. Who stopped it in the Lok Sabha? Not the Congress party, not the UPA. We didn't have the votes. People who are voting today, leave the Congress and the BJP aside, people who are voting today did not offer to vote. Therefore, passing the bill is not getting anyone brownie points. We passed the bill, we didn't get any brownie point for that. So Mr. Modi has passed the bill, why should I give him brownie points? The point is, when will he implement the bill? And I'm open to a debate. I've set out my views on paper and I'm speaking to you on television. No, let the other side tell me where I'm wrong. That how can it be implemented in a short time frame, especially in view of the third proviso to Article 82 and the new bill's section or Article 334 capital A. Reading the two together, the only conclusion is this reservation cannot be implemented for several years.
Mr. Chidambaram, we leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much for joining us. You're telling us it's not before 2032 that you see the Women's Reservation Bill kicking in. Thank you very much for being with us here on Mirror Now.